10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Right, hi, we're live. Welcome to the Business at Llanfairpwllgwyngyllgogerychwyrndrobwllllantysiliogogogoch live Facebook sessions. Tonight we're talking about the SEE project, and I've got colleagues here with me. I've got Geraint Jones from the SEE project at Business at Llanfairpwllgwyngyllgogerychwyrndrobwllllanty, and we've got Amanda Holmes from Cambria for Business joining us to help us talk about this exciting project this evening. Amanda, I'm going to go straight over to yourself because I think we've got some news. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. And just, I'm conscious that we've not said what SEE stands for. So shall we just dive straight into our first question? And what does SEE stand for, and what's the project all about for somebody who hasn't heard about us before?
And around just shy of 3,300 participants. So it's a big project, and it's supporting a lot of businesses really positively. The main objectives is to support employers and their employees, as the name of the project states, build skilled and adaptable workforces through the subsidised training and development, which is obviously, as today, even better. Geraint, there's a couple of other specific objectives.
Yeah, there's a couple of specific objectives with the project, really. The first one, the first objective is to upskill people who might not necessarily have any qualifications or low-level qualifications to what we call a level 2, which for people not in education is the equivalent of sort of GCSE A to C. So it's to get them upskilled to that level. The second objective, really, with this project is to get people who have already got the GCSE or above, really, but to get them qualified with more job-related qualifications. So we're talking from a level 3, which is equivalent to an A level, right up to a level 6 sort of foundation degree level, really, qualifications in a wide range of subject areas.
Yeah, and I think what the SEE project's also allowed us to do is where a learner can go on a fully funded apprenticeship programme, there are caveats to that and requirements and eligibility to that. So what it's been really good for is maybe for those who are at a lower level, if say it's required as part of their job role to have a specific qualification, they can just do the MVQ through the SEE project, have it partially funded as it was, or potentially up to 100% subsidised now, and it takes away some of the, I suppose, the fear points of doing an apprenticeship, like your maths and your English and so forth. So it allows employers to really have an inclusive learning environment and choose and allows the learners to decide as well, do I want to do the full framework? Do I want to do just the MVQ? So there's that as well. And also, yes, it's financial support. Yes, it's the ability to help and support you assess your skills gaps. We've got highly skilled teams that with Geraint's team and my team, the employee engagement team at Cambria, will help you understand your skills gaps, help you with your training plans. Okay, we won't do it for you, but that's something you will need to create. And then we help with the registrations and the course coordination. So it's really a very, very supportive process.
Brilliant. Do you know, we've had some technical problems.
So yeah, so just to go into further details about who qualifies for this then. So it's quite a simple one really, Claire, really. It's the 6 North Wales counties. So, you know, Conway, Gwynedd, Anglesey, Denbighshire, Flintshire and Wrexham really. We're quite fortunate that it's open to all private sector organisations and also the public sector organisations. So as you can imagine, particularly in West North Wales anyway, there's a large percentage of small and micro businesses. I think it's something like 87% of them are small and micro. So it's really good to be involved in a project which is helping upskill these small self-employed people as well as, you know, the larger public sector organisations.
That's brilliant. I just think I just need to explain to people watching, we've had some technical problems. I think my earphones were interfering with all the sound. So people heard Amanda, some people heard Geraint. I unplugged myself and then muted myself. So I was frantically trying to interrupt you. So I'm sorry I didn't ask the second question. Oh, joy. So I don't know, Amanda, whether people know, for people who are just watching Business at Llanrwst who know us, they might not know that we've got the Cambria for Business logo here on the screen. So Amanda is here from Cambria for Business. Geraint is the project manager for the SEE project for Business at Llanrwst. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I think everybody can hear everyone now. We've had some very kind people letting us know on our feed. So yes,
So just can I just say, Claire, just carrying on from what Geraint said before there about the large percentage of small and micro businesses, and I think what we have to do as sort of business development advisors and employee engagement people is to try and get over this fear of people doing training. I appreciate that a lot of small micros, you know, they will need to get their job done and the product out the door or the service provided. And I think it sometimes creates a bit of a barrier because I think it's too much hassle to train the staff. But, you know, let's all realise that, you know, you might be frightened about giving them a chance to train, but they'll only be more committed and they'll be a lot more effective employees if they do training. I get that there's difficulties. I totally understand that. But for us in the east of North Wales, you know, we see a lot of big businesses, and I know we'll talk about some of those afterwards. But yeah, Geraint's quite right. It's great that we can support the SME market as well as the larger employers.
Absolutely. I mean, the project is strategic in the sense that, you know, there's a real drive for businesses to improve their skills, isn't there? And that's what we're all working towards. I'll come back and recap if there's people joined since the introduction. Amanda just explained at the beginning that this project moving forward until the end of the next academic year is going to be, there will be 100% subsidy. So it's even more of an incentive for companies who, you know, maybe haven't done training before to really think strategically about the training that they might like to do. And both our organisations can help with that and help you get the right training. So just that, I think, brings us nicely into our question about what sort of qualifications can people do as part of the SEE project?
Yeah, Geraint, should I start on this one, yeah?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned before that as in North East Wales, we've got some massive industrial estates, so we do support a lot of manufacturing, engineering, food production companies in the region. So the qualifications can vary, from example, to different MBQs in engineering, painting and decorating, logistics and warehousing. And if you look at engineering, you mentioned before about the different levels, Geraint. We offered up to the HNC in engineering as well through the project. So again, really high level qualifications delivered by some fantastic staff at the different colleges. So that's really, I suppose, that's the type of qualifications that we see a lot of sort of interest in. And obviously your health and social care, like I mentioned before, where people have to have a specific level to be in the sector. But would you say that's different for you, Geraint?
Well, it's similar, really. I mean, we also do a lot of construction qualifications as well. The MVQs have been a real drive on the MVQs for people wanting to get their CSCS cards, needing MVQs, so bricklaying, plastering, etc. But also, as the project's evolved over the last 3 years, our professional courses have developed as well. So there's been a lot of demand for ILM, leadership and management, coaching, mentoring, marketing. There's a huge drive on qualifications at the moment, particularly digital marketing, given the situation that we're all working from home and having to communicate digitally. So there's a huge drive in sort of marketing qualifications as well. So one thing I want to get across is, it's not a rigid this, we listen to employers as well. So there's qualifications that you guys are interested in. Talk to our business development teams, etc., because, we can add more qualifications. There's still 3 years left on the project. There's a lot of scope really to develop this project further.
Definitely. No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and we've had lots of different courses come in, haven't we? Like, for example, the SIPs courses.
Exactly. We added the SIPs, which is the purchasing qualifications, to the programme last year, and that's proved really popular with with organisations as well, being able to upskill their purchasing teams.
Yeah,
and that range from level 4 right through to level 6.
Yeah, sorry, Gary, I was just saying even more recently as well, there was a drive around sort of like food allergen training and HACCP for the food manufacturing sector as well. So like, again, that's been because of employer need and desire and saying, well, come on then, what more can you give us to the project? And as long as it's accredited and it's on qualifications in Wales, we can put that to WEFL, or the Welsh European Funding Office, to see if they will authorise us putting that onto the project. So yeah, really responsive to the employer needs, definitely.
Yeah, and with 3 years left to run, there's going to be other things coming in as we move towards that.
Undoubtedly,
yeah, definitely.
That's great. So, just I've asked a question on and I've put a fabulous typo in there as well. But if anyone's watching and they have a question about a specific course, if they just try us out, we may or may not have the answers, but we'll certainly post a full list. I think that will probably be tomorrow now, because, as we said, it's dynamic and things we are in the process of updating. So yeah, can we just maybe talk about some of the businesses that have taken advantage of this so far?
Yeah, sure. As I said, we're working with businesses of all sizes. I mean, household names that you've probably heard of in North Wales, the likes of Watkin Jones, have developed some of their staff with the HNCs who have moved on and progressed within the company as a result of it. Siemens Healthcare is another one. They put through a wide range of their supervisors really on Institute of Leadership and Management qualifications and upskilling them really into managing their teams. But as I said before, a large part of it has been upskilling the construction workforce as well, gaining them MVQs to qualify them with the skills they already had really to gain their CSCS cards.
Okay.
And then, with some of the household care agencies within the area, the likes of ProCare, Cartrevi, etc., have benefited upskilling with health and social care qualifications. So as I say, it's I think Amanda mentioned before, there's over 800 businesses now who have benefited.
Yeah. I suppose as in the northeast, similarly to you, Geraint, again we've seen a lot of engagement with the larger companies, but some to name again names that you will recognise, the likes of Magellan, Two Sisters. I know with Two Sisters they've put a lot of their staff through food manufacturing proficiency quals, because again it's linked to food hygiene, and obviously with them being essential employer now with the COVID-19 situation, it's a good job we started the calls before, because they've been really busy. Then you've got the likes of Ardar, used to be sort of Continental Can. Again, they've all been working flat out. They've done a lot of leadership training. So those are some of the larger employers. But then SMEs, which is really, really fantastic, quality education with care. I mentioned before about the healthcare requirements, and there's been a wealth of care settings that we've worked with, and again, who are predominantly SMEs. And there's the small company Adventure as well, who again, it's taken that leap of faith to think, no, I want to train my staff, and they've really benefited from the most funding in the prior sort of guise of the project. So I think, I don't know if you mentioned before, but we're talking about who we've supported, and one thing we do try and track through the project is the cross-cutting themes. So we're always looking to find out about where businesses have put females through engineering qualifications, or males through through health and social care qualifications. So it's really those areas that it's unexpected. respected people in roles that you wouldn't think they would be, that we're always looking to get that supported. And at the minute, I know it's probably a bit of a delicate subject, but the hospitality and catering sector for us in the East, really, we'd really love to engage some more. So if any employers who are watching this now do have staff on furlough and they are in these sectors, where we can actually organise sign-ups to MBQs, and especially with the funding the way it is, the opportunity now, that's probably an area we'd like to sort of really support and nurture through the project. Geraint, is there any sort of areas that you think you need to sort of push on in the West?
In the West, really, now, as I said before, I mean, we've been working predominantly with construction, health and social care, all the ones we mentioned, really, but also, it's the tourism industry as well. I imagine a large portion of that is furloughed at the moment, so it's a real great opportunity for them to engage in some training really now as they wait for the season to start, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Just before we go too far down the conversation, I've got a question. Jill Evans has asked a really great question, and she's just asking, how have we adapted our delivery in response to the current circumstances? I know we're going to talk about it at the sort of end, we've got that scheduled in, but just maybe a little word on that now.
Sure, I was going to come to that, as you said, really. We've done an awful lot of work, as you can imagine. Things change quite rapidly. We're all now working from home, etc., and we've had to adapt really quickly to offering these remote virtual classrooms, really. And that's something I really wanted to get across, really. It's not necessarily online learning, which it is. What we've tried to do is mirror the classroom environment digitally, so you're getting the same benefits of blended learning, really, of the virtual classroom, but also keen to keep those sort of classroom benefits, what it brings in terms of the interaction, the discussions. So the teams are working really hard, and we've been piloting and trialing really with the existing cohorts, which have been classroom based historically, and been going through that over the last sort of 12 weeks. And we've been getting some fantastic feedback. And we can now really develop these qualifications further. As I said, I mean, the idea is ideally to do a blended environment where there would be reduced classes perhaps, but also we're prepared, if needs be, to do 100% virtual classrooms online.
Yeah. We're going to say, Claire, we've done exactly the same, because Geraint spoke about the professional qualifications before. We've got the Cambria Business School at Northup, and do you know what? The team have been absolutely brilliant. They've been tireless in looking at different platforms. So they've been using Zoom, Google Hangouts. They've been recording sessions on something called Panapto, and then uploading it so people can go in and sort of dip in and dip out of recorded sessions. But totally agree with Geraint. It's that blended approach, but we've proved it. I think what it's done to the colleges is what made us stop, think and say, do you know what, we can do this, and it's made us become something bigger and better. And we're seeing a lot of employers now saying, oh my goodness me, that virtual interactive classroom was fantastic. I can see with experience, I'm currently doing a level 2 mentoring course as part of my my management role at the college, and we're doing that every sort of month. We'll have a classroom or every couple of weeks, where we have a classroom together. We can all see each other, we're interacting, and it's been great. You feel like you're in a classroom together. So totally agree with Geraint. We've really had to pull up our socks and get stuck in to get this virtual world of what the college is going to look like. So yeah, CIPDs are going to be, we're going to have a mix. ILM, definitely. So yeah, I'm proud, and I'm sure you'd say the same for the team at Llanbrif. So we've worked really hard to get to this point now and be prepared for what comes next.
It's not just the forms of delivery either. I mean, I was chatting to the programme area manager of our business and management section earlier, and we're also looking at tweaking content as well. So just an example there was the ILM, the Leadership and Management Level 3. We're looking at bringing in new modules now of how to manage your team remotely, because people have had to change so quickly a way that do things and manage people, etc. So we know there's going to be demand for that, people for asking for these things. Similarly, I mentioned before, digital marketing courses. The last couple of weeks, the business development advisors have had calls from companies saying, I need some digital marketing skills. I need to communicate differently now. So we're tweaking our content, all the time now, really, and looking particularly to September, really, to roll these things out.
Yeah. But I suppose, again, sorry just to add to that as well, we've got our current learners who are studying NVQs who had actually signed up to the project a period of time ago. All of our assessors have been doing remote conversations, gathering of evidence for portfolios, even remote sign-ups. So I think, even from like the classroom, natural classroom environments, the NVQs too have had to change. So thank goodness we've done that, because there's a large number of NVQs which are part funded through the SEE project. So yeah, even all the assessors, they've had to completely change the way of working, and they've done it. They've done it really, really well.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, I don't know about yourselves in Cumbria for Business, but there is a URL that we have of the online provision that we've got now that I will drop in into the comments just as after we've wrapped this up. Amanda, if you need anything posting, if you've got any links, just let me know. I'll post them below. Obviously we haven't got everything online yet, but we're working towards it, and there's lots of people work, and I think this works great, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, as you said, things are changing so quickly at the moment. We're developing new content, new courses, new taster sessions, etc. So yeah, please get involved in those things, really.
And let us know. We can listen. We listen to suggestions, don't we? So, and our Facebook pages, I'm sure it's the same with Cumbria for Business, that social media is a great place to post those questions, isn't it? And it's a nice informal space.
Yeah, we do a lot through LinkedIn. So again, if people want to get in contact, we've got the Cumbria for Business LinkedIn page as well, that they can actually have two-way conversations if they want to ask any questions there. So no, thanks, Claire. That's great.
So should we just pop back to our planned questions? So how does this all sounds magnificent, but how does the funding work? I know it's slightly changing. So if you just recap a bit on the subsidy, 100% subsidy, and also give the people listening an idea of how it works.
Okay. Well, I don't need to talk about what the funding mechanism was previously, but I suppose I better just highlight what it was so you can see how things have improved. But previously, small employers could obtain up to 70% funding, medium-sized employers up to 60% funding, and larger employers up to 50% funding. But that's been scrapped now for this period of time till the end of the academic year. Obviously, like I said before, there is the eligibility criteria that we've got to bear in mind. So what happens is it's a really, really sort of simple process. We listen to you. I would imagine a lot of people feeling the training budgets are certainly being cut at the minute and being reduced. And the eligibility criteria, what I'd ask is if anybody is interested to find out more about the criteria, because I don't want to go into too much detail now because it will bore you senseless. But I would ask that anybody who's, if they've got an interest in the project, to find out how the funding works. We'd like to hide the wiring. I will say, don't worry about the funding. We coordinate and manage that. The main thing that you guys work out is exactly what your staff need, or who's got an appetite to train, and then make contact with us, and we can actually talk with you about the qualifications fitting to their needs of their job role. And then obviously we then work with our ESF funding office, who then go through all the applications. So there will be paperwork, I'm not going to lie, but it's not loads. And I've worked on different projects before, especially European funded projects, where the paperwork is horrendous. But at least with this project here, it's really straightforward. The ESF team can help companies complete their company profile paperwork, and also the participant paperwork as well. So I say, the funding wise, it's all systems go, as long as you meet the criteria, and let us support you through the application or the administration process. But it's really quite simple. Garrett, would you agree? Please say yes.
Yeah, totally. It's got slicker, hasn't it, over the years? And we've nailed it now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Is that okay, Claire?
That is fine. So I think we're rapidly moving through our questions, and actually our next one up was, how have things changed as a result, of the COVID-19 pandemic that we're all involved in. I think we might have covered that.
I think just to recap on that one, really, we realise things have changed. We're adapting our content, we're adapting our delivery. So people can access online learning now, really. And as I said before, it's virtual classrooms is our preferred form of delivery, really.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the interesting phrase from a colleague, and we were talking about, online tutor-led, so you're not left alone in cyberspace. You're like you say, it's a classroom. You're being taught. It's not self-directed. So
and that's what we're trying to get that message across. Really, people think of online learning as watching a slideshow, listening to pre-recorded material, and that's why they choose to go to college in many cases. Really, so it's this traditional sort of classroom environment, but
virtually.
Online.
Exactly. And I think for the professional qualifications, it's really working. And you don't feel okay. You're sitting at home, but you still feel like we do things where we're doing group exercises where we use something called Jamboard, where we're actually typing out post-it notes where the tutors ask us some questions to work as a group, and you do research and adding that to the Jamboard, and it's so clever, honestly. And until now, I never realised all these different sort of platforms we could use, and we're really taking the bull by the horns and making sure it fits our employers, especially with the social distancing measures that we need to adhere to.
Fantastic, that's fantastic. And also lots of hints from Amanda on platforms to use. Jamboard, I've never heard of that. There was another one you mentioned earlier, I can't remember what it was.
Finapto. Yeah, we actually use those for recording sessions, and I'm using it with the job shop at the minute, so it's so clever. I've been blown away.
That's brilliant. Well, it's a brave new world, isn't it? And I think everybody's doing their best to adapt, and mostly people are succeeding. Is there anything you want to add, Geraint, before I just sort of wrap everything up and go through the contact details?
No, really. I mean, just going through the contact details, really, I was just going to shout out for our business development advisors. They would love to literally meet with you, whether that be Zoom, Google Hangout, etc., to sit down and discuss really this project and your training needs in further detail, really.
Yes, we can go. We're covering all of our area, I suppose, similar for yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I've not tried to go into too much detail about the eligibility criteria and the courses, because there's no point. Let's find out exactly what your situation is, because until we know what your situation, your needs are, it's pointless just going through the motions and going through everything. We'd rather tailor that conversation. So yeah, absolutely. Video call, Zoom, however it needs to be. If we have to stand at the end of your yard, wherever you are, and stand 2 meters away, we could shout at you. Not obviously shout at you, but shout to you if necessary. But I think the virtual way is definitely, especially with the weather like this, I'd rather be doing that in this situation, 100%.
So just from ourselves, Geraint, I'll just mention that if there's anybody or they're watching this again and you want to call us, do the old-fashioned way. We've got our direct number for Business App, which is 08445 460 460. And
please you remember it, Claire.
Pardon?
I'm pleased you remember it.
Do you know what's really nice actually is we've got there's a couple of our business development advisors listening. So Heather, who is covering Gwynedd, and Julie, who covers Gwynedd, are both listening, and they're both saying, thanks, looking forward to speaking to more employers. That's off Heather, and Julie is giving us a big thumbs up that we're here to help. So it's really nice to know that we've got that support and that they're listening tonight. It's brilliant. So just to recap then, just the really important bits. The SEE project, Skills for Employers and Employees. It does what it says on the tin. Any company pretty much is eligible, but speak to the colleges and we'll walk you through it.
If they're in North Wales, yeah.
If they're going to be in North Wales, but the person can live outside of Wales, as long as the company they work for is in North Wales.
And they're not getting any of the funding for the training, as long as it's purely being funded through the SEE project.
Okay, and we have had this exciting news that the subsidy is now 100% and will be for the next academic year.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm going to put the promised details below. The list will get up tomorrow. I'll put a link to the Business at online provision that is live at the moment. Amanda, have your people get in touch with me, and I will post a link to the Cambria online provision, or you know, whatever you've got online that you would like us to direct people to. That would be really good. And I just wanted to wrap up. Thank you both for joining us. We've got a Facebook Live session next week as well, excitingly. So we're going to be doing it in the day, and we're targeting the construction and engineering sectors. And we're going to be introducing our the Busnesau Llandrillo Menai Kist Centre, which is based at Coleg Menai in Llangefni. And they're going to be telling you about the courses that are running online for the construction industry. They're tutor-led online courses that we're delivering now. So that's quite exciting if you happen to be in those key priority sectors. So just to thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, everybody who's commented and watched, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Geraint.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Amanda. Bye now.
Cheers, bye.